Welcome to the Pre Nup, the wedding obsessed podcast designed to help you plan your dream day. I'm your host, Adriana, and each week I'm joined by the industry's top professionals, celebs, influencers, and friends who are sharing their best tips, advice, and mistakes they've made so you don't have to. The Pre Nup is a Love Stories TV podcast. This episode is brought to you by Mostest, a la carte wedding planning for the modern couple. Stress less and celebrate more. Visit joinmostest.com to check your date's availability or schedule a complimentary consultation. Most of the people who listen to this podcast want a certain caliber of wedding. They see their favorite influencers and celebrities getting married, and they want to figure out how to emulate them. But unlike our favorite influencers and celebrities, we're not being sent products, free things, and we do have limited budgets. That's why I'm so excited to present today's guest. She's created a platform that makes wedding planning accessible to every budget, style, and specific need. She knows a thing or two about weddings, so today I'm picking her brain on the hottest wedding trends, solutions to the issues couples struggle with the most in wedding planning, and the simplest, most budget-friendly ways to execute an epic event. I'm beyond pleased to present Miss Sarah Klingman of Mostest to the Pre Nup. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here and just to chat all things weddings. Like you said, we are all about making the power of a professional accessible.
Yes. And that's what made me fall in love with your platform, which we are going to get into because it's very, very unique. I think, as you said, it seems like people who are planning their weddings feel that a planner or some kind of professional help is not accessible, mainly because budget and everything.
That old thing.
that little thing that like gets in the way of everything.
Yes, in life.
Exactly. But definitely in wedding planning too, because whatever you thought your budget was going to be, it ends up being like 2,000 times that.
Yeah.
But you have found a loophole, and I'm obsessed. But before we get into it, I want to just hit on some of the trends because you're a New York City girly and
sure am.
You sure are. And you run with a lot of the influencers and the, I would say influential is a bad word, but whatever the
aspirational, maybe like there's some aspirational brides.
Thank you. My Monday morning brain unfortunately can't think about words right now.
The words are wording.
The words are wording.
Yeah.
But you run with a lot of people that other people follow online and look to for the trends and the styles and what's going on. And especially a lot of the people who are getting married, you tend to run with because of your business. So I wanted to ask you, just in terms of trends, is there anything really hot right now that's going on in terms of either like style or location or colors, anything like that?
Oh my gosh, we are seeing so much. And we actually just created a guide of like the 4 themes that we're seeing for 2025, which I'll share with you. And if you want to share with your squad, your followers, like
please.
We're happy to. It's a free, just like our hot takes.
Yes.
So Mostest, we deal with hundreds of planners across the U.S. And so we see a lot of different things that like can be based on region or seasonality. But the couple of things we see that are just like 100% happening in 2025 is this idea of like vintage Victorian, we're calling her. So like that moody jewel tone, darker color palette.
Yes.
That's a big one. And I think it is like a little bit antique, a little bit vintage, but also just a little bit more of like elegant glamour.
Right.
Yeah, so that's like a big one.
Yeah, because from like I would say 2010 to maybe even like 2020, it was that very light, airy,
creamy,
whitewash.
dreamy.
Yes,
totally.
And I like this kind of sexier, bold thing.
It is. It's like the event is a vibe.
Yes.
Yeah, and lots of candlelight. I mean, we all know that like iconic circle table that everyone wants to emulate with the bows and the candles. It's like that.
Anytime someone sends that to me, I'm like, listen, as far as I'm concerned, logistically, this is a fire hazard. I don't know how people are making it work.
We get a lot of requests of like, we want this table, but we have to have hurricanes. I'm like, it's not going to be the same. Totally. However, we're down.
Yes. It's unbelievably gorgeous. But go on.
But we love it. We love those like dark, moody tones.
Yes.
I think like my biggest takeaway is like personalization is the new luxury.
Yeah.
So it's less about like wanting to look like these 4 themes and more like, I like bits and pieces of these themes, but like, how do I make them me and like right for my venue, right for my vibe. It's less about like, I want pastel, pink, purple, you know, creamy, dreamy, all of that, and much more about like the unique expression of the couple.
Yes.
And you're seeing that like across not just themes and color, but like across just like experience, invitation, you know, just thinking about the guest experience and like wanting their unique personality and style vibe to come out.
Personalization is the new luxury. That's such a great way to put it, because it's true. Like, you know, a big theme of what I want to talk to you about is the people that we see online that we admire and want to emulate their weddings. It is because it has these personal
unique
touches.
Yeah, like unique touches.
Yes.
Totally.
And you can be inspired by them and still like put your own spin on them, but it's hard to do that without help and with a budget too.
Well, and also like with a job and life and responsibilities and all of that too.
Yes.
It's like, you know, I think the desire to be thoughtful and the desire to be unique is certainly there.
Yes.
It's like, but how much energy are you going to put into it, right?
For sure. Well, speaking of the desire to be thoughtful, something that I see all the time on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, some of my favorite influencers are always posting these really elaborate bridesmaids gifts and proposals, and they're amazing. And you know, in an ideal world, of course, we all want to spoil our best friends to death and like give them everything.
Yeah.
But what you don't see is a lot of times things are being sent to these people,
of course,
products, you know? So we want to mirror it, but it's like, okay, then we end up spending $500 per girl on those items.
Correct. No, I think my biggest takeaway, and I love Courtney of the Finance Bride.
Yes,
she's just
awesome.
Like so authentically budget conscious.
Yes.
So I'm sure she's getting freebies, offers, all of that.
Sure.
But in my experience with her, she's like authentically bringing to the table like ways to be practical.
Yeah.
And I loved hers because it was like, yes, the box was gorgeous and like there was tons of creativity and thought that she put into it.
Yes.
But it was more about like getting her girls together. And like that's the theme that I hope like the normal bride takes away, is like it's less about the gifts. Like no one needs like 19 tchotchkes.
Sure.
Like not that we don't love a good robe or whatever else.
Of course.
But it's really about like hosting the girls' wine night or like doing something thoughtful for them.
Yeah.
As
and
a thank
it
you. Because like
pretty.
being a bridesmaid has never been a bigger ask.
Oh my gosh. The money.
Money.
We talk about, we keep coming back to budget because it's such a big deal. But, you know, for the couple getting married, it's overwhelming. And then we often forget how overwhelming it is, not even just for the wedding party, but even for the guest, like the travel and the gifts and the transportation and accommodations, all of it.
Well, I said like personalization is the new luxury. I think like the second thing I would say is like focus on guest experience is the definition of like a luxury event. When you see these like iconic planners who are guiding celebrities or whoever else, which is not Mostest, but like we obviously look to them for inspiration. One of the things they are always talking about and emphasizing is the guest experience. And I think this is something you can take into account when thinking about your bridal party. Like, what is their experience? Yes, they're there to help you. Sure, but like it's also a time to like honor some of the most significant relationships that you've had leading up into this big milestone.
Right.
So how do you like show them the love in a way that's thoughtful and not performative?
Yes.
And I love like a moment of just being with my girl. Like I'm thinking about like if I were to do it today, you know, not a bride, mom of three, like I would probably just like host my girls for like a fun, you know, game night or just something where we can all be together and enjoy each other without the like expectations. And then like, yeah, something thoughtful as a gift is nice, but I really think the time is much more of a gift.
Yes.
In terms of all being together and vibing and bonding and all of that.
The personalization piece is really nice too, and it doesn't have to be elaborate, extravagant, expensive. Like you can, like you said, you can have the girls over for a wine night, do charcuterie, and maybe, you know, you write their names on the wine glass and, you know, you personalize the plate. Yes.
Yeah, little touches go a long way.
They do.
And they don't also like all have to be the same. Like I know I have a lot of friends who don't drink, so maybe it's not a wine night, maybe it's a mocktail, you know, just like being thoughtful in terms of their, again, experience.
Yes.
I think is a way that you can really get your bridesmaids excited about your big day. And also time with each other because, you know, there's nothing like more awkward than bridesmaids necessarily like meeting the first day, or the one that didn't get to make it on the, you know, bachelorette, and like getting them to bond. I know I have bridesmaids from my wedding who are still friends from my wedding.
Stop.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That's a really big power move, in my opinion, on your part. It's like, oh, I've curated this group of people.
They're all amazing. They should be friends with each other. Totally.
It's funny, too. This is a little tangent, but sometimes people will get a little bit precious about their friends.
Oh, no, I'm not like, no, I'm like, friends are meant to be, yeah.
That's how I feel, too. So one of my best friends in the world from when I'm a kid, her cousin and I became really, really close through her, obviously. And at a certain point, my other friends were like, isn't that weird that you're like so close to Steph's cousin? I'm like, no, it's just because like Steph's so great and like
her cousin's so great.
Yeah, Angelica's so great. So like we all just kind of jive with each other. But yeah, that's a total tangent, but I think if you can curate a group of people together, like that is so much more important than, you know, a lotion or the packaging of something to look designer. You know?
Well, it like knocks a couple things off the list, right? Like, one, it's like genuine time together.
Yeah.
Two, it gives you that like Instagrammable moment, like the girlies having a wine night or whatever.
Totally.
Versus like 19 pictures of the box. Like, not that the box is important. And then three, like the gift becomes gravy versus like being the whole thing.
Right.
And I think that takes the pressure off from the budget perspective, sort of back to that off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So one of my favorite influencers, you probably know Maria Marzullo.
I know of. Yeah.
So she is a doll baby. She was on the show before, and she got married this past summer. Yeah. But I loved the little unique touches she put throughout her wedding. And one of the things that she did for her bachelorette party, it was like super low key, not a lot of nights out or anything, but she hired a photographer to just do like a photo shoot of her and her girls. And that's like, yeah, maybe that'll set you back. I mean, if you can get someone to do it anywhere from like $250 to like $500.
For something like that, you don't need like a wedding photographer, like maybe someone younger, up and coming.
Exactly. And then your girls have these pictures of all of you together. It's like, it's just really nice.
Yeah, I think so. I love that.
Yeah, super, super cute. So, okay, something else that I wanted to talk to you about in wedding trends. We're seeing so many different unique, creative dress codes now.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And to the point that it's almost hard to follow. So I wanted to know if you've seen anything worth noting that you really either loved or thought was like kind of crazy.
I'll never like ick somebody else's, but like,
right.
You know, I think that there's like mixed reviews on this.
Yes.
I would say the pros are clear is kind. So I love like clear direction.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge part of it. The other piece is obviously the photos, which is really what's driving the trend, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Our head of BD, Kayla, which we didn't plan her wedding, so I can take no credit for this. She did this like gorgeous wedding out west, and they had like this sort of like, not Western chic, but almost like they made it work with the space, and they gave a lot of clear guidance, but also not strict guidance. So that makes sense. So it still allowed guests to be creative, express themselves, wear their favorite outfit, but it was more like trying to make it feel like a full experience with the dress code, you know, to the decor, the whole thing. So it was like a comprehensive move, and I think the way she did it was great. So yeah, I'd say like it's awesome if it works with the entire event.
Yes.
And you can be a little flexible.
Right. Clear is kind. Those are immortal words. Like put inspo on your wedding website.
Give some photos. Yeah. Some do's and don'ts.
Totally. Yeah. And that does go a long way, because I think for a certain generation, this is new, and they're like, what are you talking about? That's so weird. That's not the way we do. Well, things are changing, okay? Things are evolving in the world of weddings, which is great. It's awesome. I think there's so much room to have fun and be a little bit more creative. And this is something, who said this to me? I'll have to remember so I can give them credit. But they said, I don't know why people are so with a stick up their ass about the dress code, because you get invited to a costume party, you go in a costume. Like there are parameters that you're given,
fully,
and you're totally okay with it. So why is it when it's a wedding, you are so stringent and everything has to be just so. Like, no, you can have a little fun.
It's kind of like the idea of uniforms. So I was actually talking to my kids this past week about like, so they were like not uniforms, but like a color dress code.
Sure. Okay.
And I was talking to them like, do you like that? And my daughter, who's 7, who is like a glam queen, was like, yes. And I was like, tell me more about this. And because she was like, it removes some of the like thinking in the morning that is, so in a way, I think if like viewed the right way, having a clear dress code is really just about having less choice, which I think can be nice. Like versus, I mean, we've all stressed about what to wear to that wedding. So I think it's great. It's actually a trend I really like. As long as you know, you toe the line of like not creating a bunch of extra stress for guests.
Yes.
Going back to like just be clear and be flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you put a dress code on something and someone veers from it slightly, like, should it ruin your wedding day?
You should
Absolutely
not even be
not.
aware.
Exactly.
You should not even be aware.
Exactly. It's just a guideline. And I want to send that message to the people online who like have a heart attack anytime we talk about anything outside of the realm of what they're comfortable with. But we posted a video about black tie optional, and it made it to the wrong side of Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
And there were these straight men like attacking me and my guest, like,
oh, good.
Our looks, our character, like everything about us, because we
like,
said this is what black tie optional means. You would have thought we said like, go jump off a bridge. Like,
oh my goodness. Like, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say this. It doesn't matter
Totally.
in the big, like, I think, and we'll talk about this later, just in terms of like wedding process and things we stress about and all of that.
Yes.
But I would say, keep it in perspective, and yeah, a little guidance is okay. Black tie optional, whatever, you know, whatever the variety is. It's just at the end of the day, like, it is a detail supporting what we're actually there to do. It is not a main character in the event.
And the guest should not be stressing as much or more than the couple. Like, take it with what it is and go with it, just like
grain of salt. Take it as guidance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Meant to be fun.
Yes.
Meant to be fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just speaking of struggles, a couple weeks ago, I put a little Instagram story up because I was just curious, wanted to get in touch with my brides a little bit more about what they're going through and what they're having a hard time with. And I just said, what are we struggling with weddings right now? And I had an overwhelming amount of responses that were something to the effect of, I want to get the quote because I did quote this girl exactly. And, she said, okay, literally just making decisions. I don't know how people do this, LOL. Which really, I was like, yeah, that is
There's something there.
So spot on. Like, just the actual choice, because there are so many choices.
Tons.
And when you don't have professional help, a professional planner, like all of these people that you're seeing online do, no matter how effortless it looks, like
and they would say they're stressed too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether or not you have any assistance, like, it's stressful. But having that help, I always say this and I always get in trouble, so sorry. But I think a wedding planner is a luxury and not a necessity. And I think that it will help you in an exponential amount of ways, even with figuring out where your budget is supposed to go so that you can make your budget, last a little longer.
Yeah.
But it comes back down to the decision piece, because it's like, okay, we're reeling. Maybe if we had a little bit of someone to help us / guide us, could be a little bit easier.
I think it helps, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But I think, so like taking a step back, I think there is this massive wake-up call that happens after you get engaged.
Yes.
Like, I think pre-engagement, it's like, I want to be engaged, ring, high level wedding vision, expectation, dream day. And then you get engaged and it's like amazing. And then we see brides who like start planning the same day.
Yes.
We see brides wait a couple weeks, wait a couple months, enjoy their like fiance era before they're jumping in. But whenever that moment comes, it is a really rude wake up call of like how much goes into planning a wedding.
Oh my God.
And I agree with you in the sense of like a wedding planner is a luxury only because a wedding planner is not in everyone's budget. Right. Not because everyone in theory shouldn't have one, because I actually think in theory everyone should.
I agree.
Because it's a full-time job. That's why there's a whole industry of people who do this.
Even if you are a wedding planner yourself, like you should not be your own wedding planner.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. So with that said, because it's a luxury based on price point and just budget constraints of the individual couple, I think that indecisiveness or indecision is really a result of being overwhelmed. And I think it's a lot of things being thrown at you at once. There's tons of tools and information out there, but like you can even get overwhelmed by that. Like when I look at the amount of like tools and guides and what to do, like I myself, as someone who's planned weddings, am overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everyone has a different approach. And it's also like you open these tools and it's like 4,000 rows and color codes and things. And I'm like, what do I do with this? You know what I mean? So part of what we are really trying to do at Mostest is we're not trying to, by any stretch of the imagination, and we can't, by the way, take the place of a luxury planner. We're not that.
Well, right.
So our consumer is really doing a lot of it themselves. What we're trying to provide is we call ourselves like your wedding planning bestie. Because it's like great to talk to mom, it's great to talk to your sister, it's great to talk to your maid of honor, but sometimes you need that objective third party just to say like, hey, here's where you can start. Like eat the elephant a bite at a time. Here's a suggested order of operations. And we provide a lot of that, like complimentary, to be honest, just in consultations.
Yeah.
I mean, we say like nothing is off limits. We've had people join us who are just like, can I tell you about my mother-in-law? We're like, how long do you have?
Bring it on.
We thought you'd never ask. You know? So everything from that to like the day of coordination piece, which I would say to anyone planning a wedding, especially the bride doing it herself.
Yes.
Like if luxury is personalization, it's also being present. You're going to do so much. You're going to have an overwhelming amount of decisions from venue to all of these vendors to theme to color to the bridesmaid proposal to now bachelorettes are like its own thing within the thing.
Sure.
Wedding weekends have like 4 events now. So it's just a lot.
Yes.
The last thing you want to do is not be able to like have what I call like a stress deadline. And we usually suggest like 3 days before the wedding. So it's like you do. And then you sort of have like this understood like whatever happens from this point on happens.
I've done everything in my power.
I've done everything in my power, and hopefully you've hired a coordinator. And I don't care what your budget is, make budget for a coordinator, because like otherwise you don't get that luxury of just saying like I am present starting at this moment.
Clip it, because this is the thing.
It's got to be in the budget.
It has to,
and especially if you're dealing with a lower budget.
Sure,
it has to be in the budget, because otherwise you're going to be DIYing while you're getting your makeup or doing your own. But like, and it's like at a certain point, it's not the point.
It's a non-starter. Like, who's going to rally the troops? You, your bridal party, your
like
family.
You can't be two places at once.
No.
You can't be setting up decor and putting on your makeup at once. It's not even like if you want to. Like we talk to people who are like, I'm type A and I'm a doer and I'm hands-on, and I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
This is literally an issue of like you can't be two places at once.
Right.
And this idea that like your mom or maid of honor can do it is the same problem.
No,
because they're supposed to be getting ready with you. You know, those cute getting ready pictures we all like. Wait, they're setting up the DIY.
Yeah.
They're putting out the place cards.
Yeah.
They're welcoming your vendors.
And then instead of having a really beautiful special day that you reflect on fondly, it's like
the place cards weren't exactly where I wanted them, and it's like it's like a distraction.
You're like putting your loved ones to work.
Or yourself.
Or yourself. Which is, to me, no. I mean, worst case scenario, you're putting your loved ones to work. You cannot be putting this stuff out yourself on your weddings. I refuse. I can't.
You can't.
I can't let it happen.
Please don't. Please do not. Please do not.
But you're so spot on. I mean, even if you have a venue that is, let's say it's like a banquet hall that services weddings, or a hotel ballroom, and they have a coordinator on site. that is the coordinator for the venue.
This is like the biggest misconception. A lot of times those venues require you to have your own coordinator.
Totally.
Which I think sends a clear signal. Now, if they have a coordinator dedicated to you, which some venues do, and I think that's amazing. Like, I wish every venue did, honestly. Thinking of the bride, obviously be bad for my business, but I think I wish they did, like, for the bride.
But regardless, it still starts even when there are bridal attendants in addition to a coordinator and an event manager and a maitre d'. They all are going to start when you get to the venue. So let's say you're having a religious ceremony that doesn't take place at the venue,
which a lot of people are.
Of course.
A lot of cultures and customs do.
A lot of people don't get ready at the venue that they're getting married at. They're, at a house or a hotel or a rental. It's
your day. Yeah. Like, it's your day. And I think especially because of the mental load of planning and because the amount of money you've invested in this day, it is a no-brainer.
Yes.
And I know it feels like one more thing to pay for, but it is like an investment in you.
Yes.
It's like we say it's like a present to yourself for doing all this planning, to not have to continue to do all the planning up until the end, or, like, God forbid, break down after.
For sure.
Which a lot of venues help with, but, like, your personal effects, guest book, gifts, like, all that. Like
hopefully you get a nice little buzz on and you can go and party with your
into
people
the
after.
sunset.
Yeah,
off into the
you don't
sunset.
want to be collecting your stuff and hauling
We've heard
it.
horror stories.
Yeah, it stinks. This episode is brought to you by Mostest, a la carte wedding planning for the modern couple. Stress less and celebrate more. Visit joinmostest.com to check your date's availability or schedule a complimentary consultation. Okay, so people think, like, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get a planner and a coordinator and all these things to help us? So we all kind of we have this unity online of bonding over being miserable, and a lot of us have the same problem, which is, it helps us feel good that other people are commiserating with us.
Totally.
But what I like more than talking about the problem is finding the solution.
Same.
So you did that, and you have this incredible platform for couples where they can have wedding services a la carte. So coordination, planning, everything.
Totally. So we are really focused on, and one thing we've heard loud and clear from this specific couple is, like, we don't necessarily, maybe we can't afford, or maybe we don't want, like, the full planning, support.
Yes.
But we want it here and here.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of times, like, the idea of a package makes it easier for someone to buy.
Mm-hmm.
But what we see is the opposite. Like, we get so much positive feedback from couples who are like, oh my goodness, like, I was able to just get the support where I needed. And because they see paying for things they don't need as overpaying.
Right.
And our goal is to, like, just meet you where you need the help.
Yes. Like, I needed someone to help me with design. Boom. I can do that. And, like, I don't have to choose anything else except a coordinator, because you do need.
Obviously the coordinator. Don't forget the coordinator.
That is, if you're going to do any of the things, it's a coordinator.
Yeah.
But
don't worry. If you work with us, we tell you 9,000 times. You won't forget. Even if it's, like, your friend who's not in the bridal party, like, we're like, anyone. Truly. We hope it's us.
Yes.
But, like, if it's not, like, get someone.
Someone needs to.
Totally.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so what I want to do is go through the subcategories of the platform, and I want you to explain how they work. And while we do it, I also want to touch on the price point, because that is the thing for most people. That's, like, why they would or wouldn't get a planner in a lot of instances. But a lot of planners, luxury planners especially, maybe work on a percentage base. Yes. Some are flat feed, but you guys do a flat fee.
We do a flat fee because for us, like, transparency for this type of service model, I think, is key.
Yes.
Listen, we're new. Things could change.
Yes.
But today, what we found is, like, clear is kind. Back to that. We're like, we just want to be transparent. We want to be clear about expectations, deliverables, how we can help. And we don't want our brides to perceive that we have, like, hidden fees. Like, I know that's, like, one of the hottest topics in weddings is, like, the wedding tax or hidden fees. And, like, I don't believe in that. I think the wedding tax comes down to, like, higher touch and needing to support the bride in a different way than like a birthday party. And like,
yes.
So unpopular opinion, like I don't think the wedding tax is real, but for us, because we are bigger and because we're working with planners, some of these planners have their own businesses. Most of them do.
Okay.
They're actually just filling in their current book of business by taking on some virtual planning with us.
Cool. Very
so
cool.
That's like the secret sauce is like it's experienced planners local to your market who are kind of taking additional gigs on their terms. And we take a really low fee from them just to like keep the lights on for the business.
Sure.
So that's how we're able to charge less.
So question for you. Let's say, you know, I'm getting married and I discover Mostest and I'm like very, very excited. I find my market. And how do I know for sure that this person has events under their belt and they know what they're doing?
Such a good question. So like our number one priority is like that vetting and quality. Otherwise, like we cease to exist, right?
Sure.
So we have to make sure they are credible. They have a certain number of hours of experience. We spend a lot of time validating their experience with other vendors and venues. We don't actually use past clients because there's this like phenomenon of like fake reviews and da-da-da-da. So we're like, we actually want to talk to like venues we know.
Really smart.
Who can say like, yes, I've worked with, you know, Adriana and she's amazing and, you know, you should definitely let her in the network. I mean, we have a wait list of 16,000 professionals.
Wow.
And we have only a few hundred.
Oh my gosh.
And not because we don't want to, you know, allow everyone in, but like quality is king in our world. And we also think a lot about working style as your match. So we have an exciting thing coming in December with our first app that is going to basically allow, so previously we were matching. We were sort of like acting like a matchmaker, matching you with the planner. That's done.
Yeah.
Now we're pre-vetting, obviously, and pre-matching you with someone who matches your working style.
Smart.
So
really
there are
smart.
like really two reasons, in our opinion, that a planner client relationship goes sideways. And despite what you would think, which is like, she didn't match my style or she didn't have experience with my fit, like it's actually very little to do with that. Like, yes, having that venue's experience is a plus.
Yeah.
But what it really comes down to like is, does your working style match theirs? Do you vibe? So we have done a lot of research in the thousands of weddings we've done to say what works and what doesn't. And our rate of success is like 99.5%.
That's amazing.
Thinking about working style.
Yeah.
So what will come is we're actually going to give you the option of starting with 3 planners who match your working style and the specific experience you need, like in my city, experience with my venue, you know, multicultural, like those sorts of things that you get to input.
Yeah.
Then you pick at the end of the day. You pick between the 3. They're all priced at that same flat rate. And then you get to work.
It's fabulous. So you said something that really hit for me, and it's something we talk about here a decent amount, but you have to vibe with not only your planner, but any of your vendors.
Totally.
And if you don't, it really is going to throw things off. You can love someone's work and admire it and think it's gorgeous and like you said, be aligned on style.
Yeah.
But if you guys don't like each other, you are going to hate each other for your wedding, and it's going to leave a very sour taste in your mouth.
It's kind of like dating,
Yes.
honestly. Like we say we're like not a dating app, we're like a matchmaker
Okay.
in this context. But if you think about like communication style, it's less about like, does she understand vintage Victorian?
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm detail oriented. I like updates frequently. Like, does she understand that work the same way and is able to make me feel confident in, you know, the direction we're headed? Going back to like, weddings are high stakes, and we try to like, I would love for them to not be as high stakes because I think it puts a lot of pressure on the bride.
Yes.
But when it's you and you're in the driver's seat, it feels really high stakes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And
oh my God.
So we have to build towards that.
Yes.
And make that, you know, just a reality that we have to accommodate.
For sure. So let's go through some of the options, because I'm sure people are thinking like, oh my God, okay, I didn't even know this was an option, that I could pick and choose parts of the planning process, that I could hire someone for and not pay $1 billion. I could pay, you know, a lower fee.
I wish it was around when I planned my wedding, to be honest. Yeah.
Same. Oh, because it's brilliant. It really is.
Thank
so
you.
when it comes to the planning piece, we have venue consultation and vendor consultation. Can you kind of explain what they are, what the difference is?
Yes. So we have venue consulting and vendor consulting, which is exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
So there are tons of amazing tools out there, marketplaces of venues and vendors that have reviews and ways to get in touch with them. And what I have found is that especially busy brides, getting to the point where you have a short list is a lot of work. And we take the same approach that we do when we match you with your planner, which is finding the best venue for your budget, finding you the best vendors for your budget and style and working style, and giving you that short list, and kind of like blocking out a lot of the noise. So we take those, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of options. We're reaching out. We're confirming their availability for you. We're confirming that they're within your budget for you. We're reviewing a proposed contract so you understand each and every nuance. I think that's a huge thing in weddings.
Yes.
I have a funny one for you on like a venue, not a hidden fee, but just like things that a normal human who is not a wedding planner wouldn't think about.
Yeah, it just wouldn't cross your mind.
Yeah, and we take it and we get you a short list and we really get you to the place where you have a venue and a select number of vendors that you feel really good about.
It's really smart.
And it's a couple $100. So again, it's not for everyone. Some people say, I don't need help with that. All that information's out there. And I'm like, great. Yeah. For me, it's like the act of reaching out, confirming availability, reviewing the contract, maybe scheduling a tour, like sort of like a concierge moment for that, where like a lot of the doer work we take on.
Yeah.
And then we throw in like our local expertise. So like maybe venues you hadn't thought about. Like I saw a review of us on Reddit the other day that was like, they had done venue consulting, and it was, I went with a venue I didn't even know existed because they weren't on the platforms.
Right.
But this planner knew of this one that like matched their vibe, which also happened to be the like vintage Victorian vibe.
It's so true. Yes.
Yeah, and it was like within their budget, available on their date, and the planner basically did all the legwork, and then the planner was out. Now we're still available to help with other things, but that's where they said they needed the help, and then the bride wanted to take it from there.
If you want to add on, you can, but you're not forced to.
And you can add them with the planner you liked, or you can say like, we vibe, but I'm like looking for something different for the next time. Like it's very flex, and we don't judge. Like we really are all about the bride.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, and I'm just thinking about what you said. The venue might not have been on the platforms. People might be confused by that.
I wish they were all on the platforms. Like these platforms are great. Like I use them, but
they're
a lot
awesome.
of times venues either like have a full book of business. They don't feel that they need to be on there. Maybe it's
because it's expensive to host with those things.
Oh yeah.
And there are certain venues who there's a reason that they don't really promote that they do venues and that they're so expensive because the weddings are not their bread and butter. They'll do a few a year.
Totally. There's venues that say like we only do X amount and we're actually not really interested in them.
Absolutely.
As much because they have a sustainable business model that works outside of the wedding industry.
Exactly.
So this has just become like this whole idea of unconventional venues is like a newer thing.
Museums, things of that nature. Yeah.
Even restaurants.
Exactly.
Like some restaurants.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a different thing. But that's an example of how like venue consulting I think could really help.
Okay.
It's also like such a large percent of your budget. You just want to get it right.
Oh yeah.
And we were we had a planner booking a venue the other day who is one of my favorite venues. I won't say the name, but like they don't have service elevators in New York. Fine, like that reads as what it reads. There's no like hidden fee or anything.
Sure.
But what a bride may not know or a couple may not know is that when you don't have a service elevator, all of your other vendors are actually going to charge you more because they have to schlep your flowers and rentals or photo booth, DJ equipment up the stairs.
Right.
So even though in the venue contract it would have no reason to say, because it's not a fee from the venue.
Yes.
A planner would be able to identify that and just flag it to you.
Oh, yeah.
There's no hidden fees, but there are surprises.
Absolutely.
And our job is just to inform. We're not lawyers. We don't claim to like negotiate these contracts. We're not trying to get venues to do things that aren't right for their business.
Yes.
But we do want to make sure that the couple is eyes wide open on those details, because those are the things that actually blow up your budget, not hiring a coordinator or not.
And it gets to the point where you're sometimes even a month before the wedding and you already have so much going on, and you
the florist is like, by the way, it's going to be an extra $1,000 for me to schlep the stairs because I need more hands. And
Exactly.
I need, totally.
And a lot of times it's not something, if the vendor hasn't worked at this specific venue before, that's top of mind for them either. And they have a full book of clients. And then it's like, almost that's where it seems.
In fairness to the vendor, like they have to hire more people to get the stuff up the stairs in this case. So of course they have to charge more.
Absolutely.
It's not, price gouging. It's like, I physically can't do it on my own, so I need more help.
And where the couple is concerned, they're like, they're just trying to milk us dry. And it ends up being this like fight against each other.
It's expectation setting. And that's like a going back to like things that we think define success with vendor, venue, and client relationships. It's expectation setting and match. We've talked about match, but the second is just like clear communication and expectations. And that's where I think our services are invaluable.
Yes. Where I think that they are extremely invaluable, the next topic I want to get into is design, because this is my favorite part about your platform probably. So you have a design a la carte option as well. So you have vibe concept and then full vibe blueprint. So I want to go through those, because this I find is probably one of the hardest things that couples, I'm always inclined to say brides, and I'm sorry.
I know,
that's
I
like,
keep doing the same. Couples or whoever's planning.
Whoever's
planning. Whoever is taking on the lead planning role is who I'm calling bride.
Yes, even if it's like father of the groom,
yeah,
they're bride to me.
Totally. If you're a lead planner of the on a DIY journey, we are your people.
Exactly. Okay, so I want to talk about vibe concept and full vibe blueprint. So explain to listeners what those are.
Okay, so I am such a millennial, and when I
likewise.
So when I was building this business, I was like, logistics. Everyone needs help with logistics and doing and this. And what we've learned with this like much more creative and cool generation is like vibe is king. And vibe meaning like that personal expression on your big day.
Yes.
So we've seen like two pain points with this. And the first is like, there's just a lot out there. So what vibe concept is we meet with you, we hear sort of what you're interested in. We have all this tech that's like taking in your Pinterest boards and, articles you'd like and pictures. And we meet and we kind of talk about like what's right for you. And then we give you back sort of this like very curated mood board with some ideas from there. So it's like a very high level. I mean, it's very cheap. It's $45. It's just like a design consultation, right?
Yeah.
And from there, if you are hands-on DIY, you can take it and run with it. What we see a lot of times is people opt for the Vibe Blueprint, which is more expensive, but it's essentially giving you shoppable links for each area of your wedding, as well as vendor recommendations.
So smart.
So let's say you are doing a Bridgerton, which is another big theme we're seeing, obviously.
Of course.
A Bridgerton vibe, and we do the vibe concept, we sort of nail it, and you're like, okay, like now execute it.
Yeah.
You give us your floor plan. We are sort of like proposing each area. And again, the shoppable links. So we're using all the same places that a DIY bride would, Etsy, Amazon, all of the great, sort of budget hacks.
Yes.
We're sort of like spoon feeding like how to do it.
Sure.
And then if you are going to use a florist or a producer, like let's say, you're looking to use vendors like that, we would provide, recommendations specific to this vibe that we think will help you bring it to life.
Really, really smart.
So it's not full service planning, it's not full service design, but it's sort of like this bridge to help you do it yourself.
Yes, I'm spoon feeding you. I'm giving you the exact tools that
saving you the time
need.
Of having to like research, 19 place card holder option, and whatever else. And it includes a couple of rounds of revision. So it's not like we're just spitting it out, and saying good luck.
And then you're high and dry.
No, it includes a couple of rounds of revisions. It's got that real human planner touch.
Yes.
So we're not AI, doing it for you. We love AI for efficiency, but like we want it to be personal.
When it comes to design, Come on.
And no two designs are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that is, I'm so excited about that because it's a real struggle and it's a pain point when there are so many options. People get very overwhelmed and they want something really fabulous.
They know
they
like big picture what they want, but they don't necessarily like want to shop for every little thing or don't have the time. Or we can give them a head start. Maybe we nail like 95% of it and then they add on a little bit, but like it gives them that bulk of, executing their vision or bringing it to life.
Right. I saw over the past weekend, Vogue posted, it was an interior designer who got married and really cool. She had patterned dance floor and she did some stuff with like the walls. So she had a lot of different patterns going on and it was probably really expensive to do because the venue is big. And
the custom floor, I mean, that stuff is like very...
It gets up there.
It's a luxury. Sure. It's a luxury item.
It is. Yeah. And, a bride could see something like that and be like, oh, wow, like I love that so much. And in the real world, someone says, oh, well, you don't have to have that to have a great day. Or, your day is going to be amazing no matter what. And as people in the industry, like we know that to be true. But when you're planning and you're overwhelmed, it's like, yeah, that doesn't help me.
I want the floor.
I want the
floor.
Yeah. So when you have someone kind of holding your hand through that, it's like, okay, maybe that floor isn't in the budget, but this is.
This could give you a feeling of it. Maybe it's like go extra bright with your flowers. Like if you're looking for that sort of multi-pattern, do napkins that are patterned. Like it's almost like the look for less.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is huge to me. Like being able to kind of I hate the word copy, but draw inspiration from something on a budget that makes sense for you.
And unique to their style. Like maybe they like certain parts and drawing that out. Yeah, but I think it's okay to take inspiration from, we should be taking inspiration from these, gorgeous luxury like works of art. I mean, the planners who are planning these events, I mean, the amount of time and energy that they are putting into it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it should be an inspiration.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean the bride with a lesser budget can't take pieces of that and bring it in. They shouldn't just be told no.
Exactly.
Because you don't have the budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the coordination piece because while the design piece excites me most, like the logistics, people don't realize how important they are. So you have month of coordination.
Yes.
You have day of. You have setup and breakdown. So talk to me about month of coordination.
So month of would be what I would recommend to even the brides who don't think they need it. Mm-hmm. This is 60 days, and it's really more of like a partial last 60-day sprint planning support. Mm-hmm. So you're meeting with your coordinator weekly. We do like a big intake of sort of everything that's been done. Let's say you didn't use Mostest for any of those services. If you did, we kind of already have the scoop.
Sure.
So let's say you didn't, and we are taking like a big intake. We're meeting all your vendors. We're getting any last minute things that pop up. We're sort of like your team at that point to take care of those things.
Yeah.
Which is the real value of month of. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, a lot of logistics. So like we're making a timeline for you, certificate of insurance, like just gathering all the things.
Yes.
Really allowing you to be present, hopefully, for that last stretch. The last stretch can be the most stressful stretch, so we can't promise that like there's no stress.
Yeah.
But what we can do is like be your team.
Totally.
For that last 60 days.
Totally.
And then obviously the day of we're there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So smart. So then day of is obvious. I mean, I think we said it. We might have already been blue in the face, but
in case you didn't hear,
you hear this. You need a day of coordinator.
Please.
It's
for you. Honestly, for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's not that expensive. Like that's the thing.
It all adds up, and I totally get this. And again, we say like, even if it's a friend, like we just want someone for our bride. We hope it's us because we think we do a great job, and we think we can really alleviate a lot of the day of stress that could fall on the couple. But if it's not us, and you hire a coordinator, we're like genuinely happy.
Yeah.
Because we see and hear of these, couples who decide to take it on. That's where they draw the line budget wise. And it is, really to their own detriment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So so to answer the question, day of is like month of, but just like shorter term.
Yeah.
So we're talking like within the month of, we're less able to support with the last minute things that come up and really focused on making sure that day of is perfect. So we'll still, do a site visit with you, run your rehearsal, make the timeline, like all of the deliverables are the same. It's just like less of the partial planning and more true down and dirty, like day of.
For sure.
And we have couples who like are on a tighter budget, and while they would love the 60 days, they have to prioritize, so they opt for the day of. So it still gives them that ability to be present on their big day. Without maybe some of the frills of month of, which is again just that little extra support.
It's fabulous. And you did already touch on a little bit with us setup and breakdown, and I just want to touch on it really quickly because we talked about breakdown and not wanting to, haul all your things home with you. But this is a very, very common misconception that I didn't realize until I worked in venues a long time ago. But a lot of couples think that the venue is going to set up their items, and that is not their job.
Rare. Very. Yeah, unless it's like a true wedding venue. And even then, it's probably not. Like, it's still required.
And it depends on what it is, too. So if it's like little things on the sweetheart table or, what.
I'll give you some examples, right? So seating charts are like a big moment in a lot of weddings, right? Like, the venue's not setting that up. Signage. So you do a guest book, or maybe you do one of those like cool guest book audio phone things with instructions. Like, there's like a setup process to get the phone working. Then you have to go put it on the table with signage. It's none of this is rocket science. It's just not tasks that your venue is responsible for.
And they're tedious. It takes a little while to do.
And you want someone to know your vision and be able to execute it. Like if you handed it off to someone the day of, like they're going to put it on the wrong table. And again, nothing's perfect, and it's always a little different the day of. But someone who's your team ready to do that. We started Setup and Breakdown. We do a partnership with Something Borrow Blooms.
Love Something Borrow Blooms.
Yeah, we love them. We love them. So we really started the service specialized to their products because they have tons of amazing couples who are using their products, but like didn't have a coordinator or weren't really sure how to set it up because it's very like DIY.
Sure.
So like our coordinators are experts in this sort of thing.
Yes.
And so we started it with them, and we started getting the feedback for, again, the super budget conscious bride, where it was like, I don't necessarily need someone helping me run my ceremony or running transitions during the reception, which like I disagree. I think that's stressful for the couple, but like let's say you really, really have to prioritize. Setup and breakdown is an option, and it's not something most coordination companies offer because it doesn't provide the comprehensive service that most professionals believe a couple to need.
Yes.
Our approach is like, we agree. By the way, they're right. But with that said, we'd rather help them with something than nothing.
Absolutely. And you might be wondering why you would hire someone for setup and breakdown, because if someone could just set up your centerpieces, right? But a professional will say, okay, well, we have these 2 colored napkins. Where's the floor plan? Where does this napkin go? Where does this charger go? Where do these votive candles go relative to this centerpiece?
And be able to improvise wisely, I think is the other thing. So let's say the tables are smaller when you get there. Then, just like being able to have that eye and that design experience. And again, our coordinators also have their own small businesses. So we are not, an event planning company in the sense of we hire our own planners. Like we are there to also serve the vendor community and provide them gigs that work for their schedule. We've all had that last minute cancellation, which can be devastating to your budget as a vendor if you only take on a certain number of events per year, and you try to hedge and protect yourself as much as you can. But for us, let's say you have life surprises come up and you decide in season that you need to grab a couple extra gigs, and maybe you're a wedding planner, but you certainly know how to coordinate.
Right.
You can do that with us like as soon as a week or 2 before. Because that's when we're also getting like those types of panic bookings.
Yeah.
So as long as you meet the experience criteria and are in our network, you have the luxury of being able to supplement your business that way.
Amazing. It's so smart. I love this platform. Everyone check it out, Mostest. We'll have everything linked, and we'll touch back on to it at the end. But we only have a couple minutes, so I had all these fun things planned, but you were so fun to talk to, and you're so informative that we're going to get right to our after party, which
Let's do it.
That's our final segment. We do it every episode. It's a little just Q&A, fun wedding questions. Doesn't necessarily have to be, personal, but
let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
After
Okay.
party.
All right, Sarah, what is your honeymoon hotspot?
Okay, so if I could do it again, so my husband and I went to Maui, which was like amazing and a much needed like relaxation moments.
Yes.
After all the planning. But if I were to go today, I would like do a safari.
Ooh, oh my gosh, so many people are saying
I
this.
know, but it's like the experience.
I love it.
I mean, it just looks so epic and like something so special.
It's gorgeous. So I have like a total irrational fear of all animals, not just
eating
like,
you? Is that...
No, like I'm afraid of birds. We were around chickens this weekend, and I'm like,
like
so cute. I'm so scared. I'm literally
so
terrified.
Safari not for you.
Safari wouldn't be for me, but I love the idea of doing it. And there's Ants Africa is one, and then there's another one. Sierra Furtado went on her honeymoon.
Okay.
There's like
I've been seeing that. Maybe I've just been influenced, but I'm like, I want to be in the like khaki outfit.
I
like,
want
with
the
binoculars.
outfit.
Yeah, like
Yes.
being with nature, but like also luxury.
Totally.
Like with a shower.
I need like a steel bubble to be able to wrap myself in case they decide they're hungry and I look appetizing to them. Otherwise, I want everything about it.
I like the idea.
I do love the idea, and I am jealous of all the normal people who could just enjoy it and not be insane like me. Okay, what song will get you on the dance floor at a wedding?
Don't Stop Believing, Journey. It's just like, it brings me back to college, which I think is part of it for sure. But that's I'm there.
Everyone's screaming.
And it's all about the vibe too. Like I'm like, if there is no song that can get me on the dance floor if the vibe is shot. But if it's
so
a good
true.
vibe, that would be my song of choice.
Love it. Okay. What hors d'oeuvre will you never pass up?
Stuffed mushrooms.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or pigs in a blanket.
I'm
shameless answer. Like so good.
They're so good. That's why it doesn't
classic.
matter how luxury your event is.
Gosh.
Like we're all eating a corn dog.
We sure are.
Yeah.
We sure are.
We're
Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. Come on.
Totally.
Okay. What is your signature cocktail or mocktail?
Skinny margarita, but like basically no sugar.
Okay.
Like it's like tequila and lime juice. Yeah, it's my drink of choice.
Perfection.
All times. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite tequila brand?
Casamigos Blanco.
I know, it's the
it's the best. It's clean. It's good. Yeah.
So good. So good.
And as we get older, we can only have like one or two.
I know. We went, my husband and I celebrated our anniversary this past weekend, and we were like out drinking, having a great time. And the next day I woke up and I was like,
I had more than two. No. Yeah,
I'm a shriveled person. I'm a shell of a man, and here I am dead.
My, how times have changed.
They really have. It's sad, but we're here. We're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably a good thing.
Okay, if you could invite one living dream guest to your wedding, who would you invite?
So I actually I think about like celebrities and all that, but like my honest answer is my grandma Catherine.
Aww.
Yeah, so she passed away before my wedding. We were just super close. She was this hilarious Scottish lady, life of the party, and I just, that's one that I wish could have been there.
Grandma Catherine.
Grandma Catherine. Also my daughter's name, so named after Grandma Catherine.
It's a great name.
It's a classic, strong name.
It's such a strong name. Yeah. Royal, regal. Oh,
yeah.
Great. With a C or a K?
C. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does she go by Catherine?
She goes by Catherine, although my youngest calls her like Catty, cat.
Okay.
Like, so there's a lot of variations floating around right now. But yeah, she's a Catherine.
It's such a beautiful name. I love it.
you.
Okay. And then last question I have for you today. What is one practical piece of advice that you could give to anyone planning a wedding?
I would say just take it a step at a time and remember that like the real purpose of the wedding is to celebrate your partnership, your growing family, and to be, with the people that you love. So when it comes to day of, I would say like I always tell our couples at some point during the night, whether it's like at your ceremony right before you walk back down the aisle, or maybe, after your first dance, like pause and look around, because in your life, it is going to be so rare to have so many people in one room that love you and care about you. And it really doesn't happen again, sad to say, like until your funeral.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you can't go to that.
Yeah. So like take in the moment.
Yeah.
Be it. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful advice. Sarah, you are doing the Lord's work. We love Mostest. Tell everyone where they can find it and you and all the things.
We are on, you can book us actually directly at joinmostest.com. We offer free consultations. We We have a date tracker online. So we are trying to be, modern in the sense that you could, if you know what you need, you can book us. But we also offer complimentary consultations like 10 times a day. So just pop a time on that works for you, and you actually get to talk to one of our planners in those consultations.
So fabulous. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun. So much fun to hang.
Oh, I know. It was great. Thanks for tuning into the Pre Nup. This episode is brought to you by Mostest, a la carte wedding planning for the modern couple. Stress less and celebrate more. Visit joinmostest.com to check your date's availability or schedule a complimentary consultation. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform or on the Love Stories TV YouTube channel. Follow at @the_pre_nup and at Love Stories TV on Instagram for more. Have feedback or suggestions for the next episode? Feel free to reach out to us at podcast@lovestoriestv.com.